So it's now time to have a chat with a guest. And did you know that Friday, the 11th of April, up to the 20th of April, is Indie Beer Week? And to have a chat with us about Indie Beer Week, I've got Chief Executive of the Society of Independent Brewers Association, Andy Slee. How are you doing, Andy?
I'm great. Thanks very much indeed. Thanks for having us on.
No worries at all. Yeah, I mean, obviously the first thing to talk about before we get into talking about Indie Beer Week is yourself, obviously SIBA, what you do, and what your role is. Because obviously you're the chief executive at the Society of Independent Brewers Association. Been around a long time, haven't they, SIBA?
Yes, a bit, around 40 years, and we represent independent brewers across the UK. We've got 700 members, and we've also got 250 associate members. So they are people that supply into the into the independent beer trade. A couple of weeks ago, we just had our big gathering up in Liverpool, BeerX, which is which has been going for a while. We had 3,500 people in a room, so 3,500 brewers in a room for 2 days. What could possibly go wrong?
We had a lot of people in our community at that event, and it looked absolutely brilliant. So, I mean, I'd love for Ale and Radio to get there next year as well. So that's definitely something on our calendar going forward. Obviously, with us only being a year old from the radio side of things, that'd definitely be something we'd love to be involved in the future.
You'd be more than welcome. You'd be more than welcome as our guest.
Excellent. So Indie Beer Week. Then this is and it's the first time it's been run, but it's actually off the back of a campaign that was launched just before Christmas. Is that right?
That's right. So essentially, what the campaign is about is to make sure that beer drinkers make an informed choice about the beer that they're drinking. And what we know is that drinkers want to support local independent brewers. And by local independent brewers, we mean brewers that have less than 1% of the UK beer market in terms of share, and aren't owned by the likes of Heineken or Carlsberg or Coors. So genuinely local independent beer. It's an idea that's been running successfully in other countries. So those of you familiar with America, the American Brewers Association run a similar scheme. We launched it in October. To huge fanfare and unbelievable level of media interest. We had coverage on ITV Regional News, BBC News, and in the week of the American presidential election, we even had a supportive editorial in The Guardian on the Saturday talking about the campaign in really positive terms. So this is so we launched it in October, and this campaign was planned at about the same time to be just after BeerX that I talked about, and it's a celebration of all that's great and good about independent British beer. We've got 529 of our brewers signed up to support the week, and there's events happening across the country in various guises. The week is kicked off at the Maltings Beer Festival down in Newton Abbot tomorrow, which again is a really long-running festival. What's great about Indie Beer is that it unifies independent brewers of all sorts. So our oldest member is a 7th generation family brewer, and we also have much more contemporary brewers that you would characterize as crafts. All of those, whether they're north, south, east, or west, bottle or can, cask or keg, they've all got behind this this campaign, which gives it the strength.
That's it, and it is important. It's an important campaign. The week's a great way to highlight that. But it's an important campaign because it is the case that people don't always know what they're drinking, do they? And to be able to highlight that, and the tools that you have on your website are really useful for that as well, aren't they?
Yes. So part of the research, we did research with YouGov on this, and we did having identified that supporting independent was important. We gave people 12 breweries to identify. Six well-known independents and 6 breweries that used to be independent and are now owned by a global brewer. And the breweries that are of that list that most people thought were independent were Beavertown, which is obviously owned by Heineken, and Camden, which is owned by Budweiser, which is the biggest brewing company in the world. And so what we, as part of the campaign, we launched indiebeer.uk, and people can go onto that website and just check out the beer or the brewer, and it'll tell you whether they're independent or not. And that's supported by the IB trademark as well. So we're encouraging as many brewers as possible to put the IB trademark on their bottles and cans, and increasingly you'll see that on things like pump clips and hand pulls too, and on people's point of sale.
That's really good. And you're also, one of a number of organisations who are really sort of, trying to push, those in power, the government and so on, to really sort of get behind pubs, breweries, all that kind of thing as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. So whilst we might fall out, we might have a moment of disagreement with the global brewers about on this campaign.
Mm-hmm.
We're very, very supportive. SIBA members between them run over 2,000 pubs, bars, and tap rooms, and we sell about 75% of all that we produce into pubs. So a healthy pub sector is really, really important. I was on a call earlier on this morning actually with a range of industry colleagues about how we can lobby the government on particularly on things like fairer business rates. One of the things I find obscene actually is that independent brewers typically pay 35 to 40% of their turnover in tax. Online gambling companies pay 7 or 8% of their turnover in tax, and people like Amazon pay less than that. So our campaign, our industry campaign, is all we want to do is pay our fair share of in society. That's all. So they're the drivers, and the things like on business rates, lower duty on draft beer. That was a SIBA initiative, which again we'll be pushing on. But there's a range of things that we do, and we work with Camera obviously on those sort of campaigns as well, because they're the consumer voice of these things.
And we'll certainly get you back on, Andy, for a chat about everything else, SIBA related as well. Going back to the Indie Beer campaign, though, obviously we've got Indie Beer Week now, which is great, and that's really going to sort of highlight what's going on. But for the future, it's obviously a relatively new campaign, but for the future going forward for Indie Beer UK, what's the plans going forward?
Well, I think Indie Beer Week will be an annual event because of the take up. What we're looking to do is keep the momentum of these things. So we had a huge start. Watch out for spaces for other things coming down the line. We've got plenty of other things in the pipeline. I think one of our main drives at the moment is to get as many of those 500 brewers who have supported the campaign to, next time they do a pump clip, to make sure the IB's on the label, make sure that next time they do can designs and bottle designs, make sure that what we do is incorporated into that. If we do that, we can then get a critical mass of breweries that we can go to some of the big retailers to talk collectively about the impact that independent beer can have to their businesses as well. So those type of things are in the pipeline. But this is we're in this for the long term as SIBA, and we're grateful. We've got the support as well of the family brewers, the Institute of Family Brewers, the BII, and CAMA are obviously well behind it as well.
I do love the little the little stamp sort of things that brewers are starting to put on the cans, and we've just done a birthday beer with Bayonets Brewing in Northallerton, who true one-man band of a brewery, outstanding. And yeah, I've noticed that's on there as well, which is really cool. So
brilliant. As I say, it's really galvanized a really independent brewing is a really disparate bunch of people, from fairly big to small and what have you, and it's really galvanized all of us. It's a common cause for independent brewer to stand up, and it's something that without SIBA, this initiative just couldn't have happened. It wouldn't have grown legs. So it's the sort of thing that we're here to do and promote.
Well, Andy, well done with everything that you're doing. This is a brilliant campaign. It's going to be a brilliant week going forward, and it's only going to go, onwards and upwards from here. And it's good. It could be amazing in a couple of years' time as things grow. There's going to be all sorts going on with it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it progresses, and obviously how it supports the industry and our independence as well. So, thank you very much for everything you're doing. Thank you for coming and having a chat. It's been a pleasure. Cheers.
Brilliant. Thanks for the opportunity.